8 years ago, he accused her of the ultimate betrayal, claimed she faked a pregnancy to trap him, called her a liar, and vanished without a trace. She lost everything that week: the man she loved, the baby she thought she was carrying, and every shred of trust she'd ever had in anyone. But what he didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that she was still pregnant, carrying 3 pieces of him she'd raise alone in silence. Now he's broken into her home in the dead of night, bitter and desperate to prove she's been living off his family's money all these years. But when he sees the photos on her mantle, 3 7-year-olds with his exact green eyes staring back at him, his entire world shatters in an instant. What happens next will test whether love can survive 8 years of abandonment, whether a man can earn back what he threw away, and whether she can risk her heart again for the father her children have been drawing in the corner of every family portrait. Subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from, because this story of second chances and impossible forgiveness is about to take you on a roller coaster you won't see coming. The lock gave easier than Owen expected. 3 pins, same cheap mechanism from a dozen rental houses his company had acquired and flipped. His hands remembered the tension wrench angle, the gentle rake of the pick. Muscle memory from a college version of himself he'd buried under Italian suits and board meetings. The back door swung open. Owen pocketed his tools and slipped inside. The house swallowed him in darkness that smelled like crayons and something baking, banana bread maybe. Nothing like the expensive candles and leather he'd imagined. His phone's flashlight cut across a living room that looked nothing like the fantasy he'd constructed over 8 years of bitter conviction. Worn couch with a crocheted blanket draped over one arm, bookshelf sagging under picture books and broken spines, a coffee table scarred with water rings and what looked like marker stains. Toys everywhere, action figures frozen mid-battle near the TV, a plastic tea set arranged on a folded blanket, scattered crayons creating a minefield for bare feet. Owen moved deeper into the space, cataloguing evidence that matched none of his assumptions. No designer furniture, no expensive electronics. The TV was at least 5 years old, the kind sold at discount chains. His chest tightened with something he refused to name. The beam swept across the mantel and stopped. A photo frame. 5 smiling faces arranged around a homemade cake blazing with 7 candles. Maya in the center, arms wrapped around 3 children who leaned into her like she was gravity itself. 3 children with green eyes, his mother's nose, the cleft chin he saw every morning in the mirror. Owen's hands shook as he lifted the frame. The glass reflected his own face back at him, superimposed over theirs. The resemblance wasn't subtle, it screamed. More photos crowded the mantel. The same 3 kids at different ages. Infants in Maya's arms, toddlers covered in paint, gap-toothed first day of school portraits. Always together, always with her, never with him. 7 years old. The math was simple, brutal. She was pregnant. She wasn't lying. The certainty he'd wrapped around himself like armor for 8 years cracked. Beneath it, something cold and terrible waited. "What the hell are you doing in my house?" Light exploded through the room. Owen spun. Maya stood in the doorway, baseball bat gripped in both hands, pajama pants and an oversized t-shirt, making her look smaller than he remembered. But her eyes, dark, furious, afraid, those hadn't changed. She saw what he held. Her expression shifted through shock into something impenetrable. "Put that down now." Owen's hands rose slow, palms out. The picture frame wobbled on the mantel where he'd set it down too fast. "I didn't know." His voice came out wrecked. "I didn't know You didn't know because you didn't stay long enough to find out." Maya's knuckles had gone white around the bat's grip. She stood in the doorway like something carved from stone, every muscle locked. "Sit down." Owen sank onto the couch. She stayed standing, kept the distance, kept the weapon raised. "I thought," he started, stopped, tried again. "I came here because I thought you'd lied about being pregnant, that you'd faked everything to get money from my family and—" Her face went cold, emptied of everything except something sharp and deadly. "I miscarried." The words dropped like stones. 3 days after you accused me of trapping you and disappeared, I lost the baby." The room tilted. Owen's breath caught. "But the kids—" "Vanishing twin syndrome." Maya's voice shook, but she forced each word out clear. "I miscarried 1 baby. Thought it was over. Bled and grieved and went through it completely alone because you were already gone. Then 6 weeks later I'm still sick, still exhausted, and the doctor tells me I'm still pregnant, with triplets." Owen couldn't breathe. "By then, you'd already made yourself very clear. And your father—" Her laugh came out jagged. Your father made it very clear what your family thought of the waitress trying to trap their precious son, so I made a choice. I wasn't going to force you into resenting 3 children you never wanted. Maya, don't. The bat jerked higher. You don't get to Maya me. You don't get to apologize your way out of 8 years. Owen's throat closed. I was wrong. I was so wrong. You were a coward. Each word landed like a blow. I worked double shifts pregnant with triplets. I gave birth alone because my mother was watching their older sister's kids and couldn't get there in time. I've done every single midnight feeding, every fever, every nightmare, every first day of school. Me, not you. Silence filled the spaces between them. I want to meet them. Owen stood. Please, let me. They're asleep, upstairs. Maya's voice went lethal. And if you wake them, if you disrupt their lives because you finally believe I wasn't lying, I will call the police and you will never see them again. She pointed toward the door. Get out of my house. Owen looked at the stairs. Somewhere up there, 3 children who had his face were sleeping. 3 lives he'd missed. Please, I know I don't deserve... No, you don't. Maya's arm didn't waver. Get out. He walked to the door on legs that barely held him, pulled it closed behind him. Maya stood frozen until his car engine started, until the sound faded down the street. Then her knees gave out. She slid down the wall, bat clattering to the floor, and shook. Maya woke the triplets at 6:30 with a brightness she didn't feel. Dark circles carved shadows beneath her eyes. Her body moved through the routine. Cereal bowls on the table, backpacks by the door, the permission slip for Liam's field trip. But her mind kept circling back to Owen's face when he'd seen those photographs. She hadn't decided anything yet. Tell them. Don't tell them. Pretend last night never happened. Zoe, stop hogging the waffles. I'm not hogging. You already had 2. Noah, do you want one or... Mum. Liam stood in the kitchen doorway, pajama shirt crooked. Why is there a tall man sleeping on our couch? The juice pitcher slipped in Maya's grip. She caught it, set it down hard. She ran. Owen sprawled across her worn sofa in his expensive suit, jacket discarded, one arm flung over his eyes. His chest rose and fell in deep sleep. The back door. She'd forgotten to check the lock after he'd... Is he a robber? Zoe bounced into the living room behind her, voice pitched high with excitement. Should we call the police? Noah appeared at the doorframe, silent, watching. Owen stirred. His arm dropped. Green eyes blinked open and found 3 7-year-olds staring down at him. Zoe gasped. Mom, he has green eyes like us. She pointed at her own face. And the chin thing. Liam moved fast, positioning himself between Owen and his siblings. His small shoulders squared. Who are you? Owen sat up too quickly. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. He looked at Maya, desperate, back to the children. I'm nobody. Maya's voice cut through. He's nobody. Upstairs. Teeth. Now. But Mom. Now, Liam. Zoe grabbed Noah's hand, pulling him toward the stairs. Liam held his ground another beat, eyes locked on Owen's face like he was memorizing it. Then he turned and followed his siblings. Their footsteps thundered overhead. Maya rounded on Owen the second they disappeared. You broke into my house. Each word came out low, fierce. Again. I couldn't leave. He stood, swaying slightly. Not after seeing them. Not knowing they're mine. They're not yours. They're mine. Her hands shook. I raised them. You left. I know. He took a step forward. She didn't back away. I know I don't have any right to anything, but please, Maya, let me... The thunder of small feet on stairs. Liam hit the bottom first. He walked straight up to Owen, neck craned back to look at his face. Are you our dad? The question dropped into silence, like a stone into still water. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. 3 pairs of green eyes locked on Owen. Liam's question hung in the air, impossible to take back. Maya's pulse roared in her ears. She hadn't prepared for this. Never imagined this conversation would happen in her cramped living room, with Owen standing there in his wrinkled suit, looking as terrified as she felt. Owen glanced at her. A silent question. She managed the smallest nod. Their faces had already answered for him. Owen knelt, dropping to the children's eye level. His voice cracked. Yes, I am, Zoe exploded. Where were you? Why didn't you live with us? I have a loose tooth, did you know? Look. She wiggled an incisor with her tongue. Liam didn't move. His small face carried an expression too old for 7. Mom said our dad had to go away. That's not the same as choosing to leave. The words landed like a fist. Owen flinched. Noah just stared. fingers twisted in the hem of his pajama shirt. "Okay." Maya's voice came out too loud. "You three are going to be late for school. Go get dressed. Now." "But Mom—" "Now, Zoe." The children scattered, footsteps thundering up the stairs. The second they disappeared, Maya grabbed her phone with shaking hands, texted her mother, "Emergency. Can you take them to school? I'll explain later." The reply came in seconds. "On my way. 15 minutes. That's all it took for Claudia Thompson to arrive, her key turning in the lock like she owned the place. She probably should. She'd spent more nights here than in her own apartment when the triplets were infants. Claudia took one look at Owen, and her entire body went rigid. "You have some nerve." The words came out flat. "Dangerous." She turned her back on him. "Liam, Zoe, Noah, get in the car. Grandma's taking you to school." The children tumbled down the stairs, backpacks bouncing. Zoe pressed her face to the window as Claudia pulled away from the curb, waving at Owen with both hands. Liam stared straight ahead. Noah looked back once, then turned away. The house went silent. Maya and Owen stood in the living room, the weight of the last 20 minutes crushing down on them both. "You need to leave." Her voice sounded hollow. "I will." Owen didn't move. "But first, please, tell me about them. Their names. What they like. Anything." Maya closed her eyes. Exhaustion pulled at her bones. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up and— I know I have no right." His voice cracked again. "But they just found out I exist. And I just found out they exist. We can't undo this morning." Maya pushed through the diner's glass door at 2:15, 15 minutes before her shift. She needed the familiar rhythm of work, the simple logic of orders and tips. Jenna took one look at her and grabbed her elbow. "Back office. Now." The door clicked shut behind them. Jenna crossed her arms. "What happened? You look like you've seen a ghost." Maya's carefully constructed composure crumbled. The whole story poured out. Owen breaking in, the photos, the triplets finding him on the couch this morning, Liam's question hanging in the air like a grenade. Jenna's expression cycled from shock to fury. "He broke into your house?" "Maya, that's illegal. You call the cops right now." "I can't." "The hell you can't." "The kids already met him." Maya's voice cracked. "They already asked if he's their father. If I call the police now, if they see him arrested, how do I explain that? They'll have nightmares for months." Jenna's jaw worked. "He doesn't deserve your consideration. This isn't about him. It's about Liam, Zoe, and Noah." Maya pressed her palms against her eyes. "What if they want to know him? What if keeping him away hurts them more than letting him in?" The dinner bell chimed from the front. Rush starting. Jenna squeezed Maya's shoulder. "We're talking about this later." Owen stared at his computer screen. The quarterly reports blurred into meaningless numbers. His assistant appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Fletcher, are you feeling well? Cancel my afternoon meetings." He drove without destination, muscle memory taking him through downtown until he found himself outside Willowbrook Elementary at 3:20, dismissal time. Owen parked across the street. He didn't approach, just watched. Claudia's sedan pulled to the curb. The triplets spilled out through the school doors, Zoe chattering, Noah clutching a folder, Liam scanning the parking lot like a sentry. Liam spotted Owen's car, said something to Claudia. Her head snapped up. Even from this distance, Owen felt the weight of her glare, a promise that Maya wasn't the only wall he'd have to scale. She herded the children into the car and drove away. Maya's phone buzzed during the dinner rush. "Unknown number. I'm sorry. For everything. Please let me see them again. I'll do whatever you ask." She shoved the phone in her apron and refilled coffee for table 6. 11 p.m. The parking lot was dark and empty, except for 2 cars. Owen leaned against his sedan, hands in his pockets. Maya stopped 3 feet away. "If you say you're not stalking me, I'm leaving." "I'm not stalking you." He straightened. I didn't know how else to talk to you. I needed to say this in person." He looked wrecked. Same clothes from this morning, shadows under his eyes. "I'm sorry for not believing you, for disappearing, for breaking into your house." His voice fractured. "I can't undo 8 years, but please don't shut me out now. Those kids asked if I'm their dad. I can't just disappear again." Maya's defenses were tissue thin after 14 hours awake. "Tomorrow, Saturday, 2 o'clock, you get 2 hours supervised." Owen sagged with relief. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet." She unlocked her car. "You haven't met them when they're actually awake and full of questions." She drove away, leaving him standing under the streetlight. Maya woke to the weight of 3 bodies in her bed. Sometime during the night, they'd all crept in. Liam pressed against her left side. Zoe sprawled across the middle. Noah curled small near the foot. She found Liam already awake, staring at the ceiling. Is he really coming today? Yes, this afternoon. The house erupted. Zoe bolted upright, suddenly electric with purpose. I need to wear my princess dress, the blue one. Where is it? Zoe, you don't need... He has to see it. What if he doesn't know I like princesses? Noah slid off the bed without a word and disappeared into his room. The door clicked shut. Liam sat up, questions rapid-firing. What if he doesn't like us? What if we're not what he expected? What if... He stopped, voice dropping. Why did he stay away so long? Maya pulled him close. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, big ones. Was it a mistake not wanting us? The question gutted her. He didn't know about you, baby. That's the truth. He thought something that wasn't true, and by the time I knew you three were coming, he was already gone. But you would have told him. She hesitated. Honesty warred with protection. I made choices too, grown-up choices that seemed right then. Maybe they weren't. Zoe emerged from her closet dragging the blue dress. What if he thinks I'm weird? You are weird, Liam muttered. Liam, Maya's voice held warning. The doorbell rang at 10:30. Claudia didn't wait for an answer, letting herself in with the spare key. She found Maya trying to coax Noah out of his room, while Zoe twirled in tulle and Liam sat rigid on the stairs. Kitchen now! Claudia's tone left no room for argument. Maya followed, closing the door behind them. Are you sure about this? Claudia's arms crossed tight. You don't owe him anything. I'm terrified. Then don't do it. It's not about him, Mama. Look at them. Maya gestured toward the chaos beyond the door. They need answers I can't give. They need to know who he is, even if it's just to understand why he wasn't here. Claudia's jaw worked. I'm staying, kitchen. If he steps out of line... I know. Across town, Owen stared at the mountain of shopping bags covering his apartment floor. 3 trips to different stores. Their tablet for each of them. Building sets, art supplies, books he'd Googled best for 7-year-olds to find. It looked obscene now, desperate. He picked up his phone, Richard's contact glowing on the screen. His thumb hovered over the call button. His father would tell him this was foolish, that Maya had trapped him exactly as predicted, that children were leverage and he should proceed with lawyers, not gifts. Owen locked the screen. At 1:45, Maya finally convinced Noah to sit in the living room. He perched on the edge of the couch, clutching a sketchbook like armor. Zoe bounced on the cushions. Liam sat perfectly still, watching the door. Claudia's pointed cabinet closing echoed from the kitchen. 1:58. The knock came soft, almost tentative. Maya's breath caught. 3 faces turned toward her, hope and terror mirrored in identical green eyes. She opened the door. Owen stood on her porch, drowning in shopping bags, looking more terrified than she'd ever seen him. His expensive suit was gone, replaced by jeans and a button-down that didn't quite fit right, like he'd bought it this morning and hadn't worn casual clothes in years. Behind her, Zoe's whisper carried, "He brought presents." Liam's expression shuttered. Owen stepped inside, suddenly hyper-aware of every eye tracking his movement. He set the bags down carefully in the entryway, hands already uncertain. I brought some things. I didn't know what you'd like." Zoe dove into the nearest bag before Maya could intervene, pulling out an art set with more supplies than her school probably owned. "Mom, look, there's chalk pastels." She yanked out a tablet next, then designer dolls still in their collector boxes. Liam crossed his arms. "We don't need your stuff." The words landed with the weight of something rehearsed, protective, echoing conversations he'd overheard between Maya and Claudia about pride and charity. Owen's face went blank, lost. Maya touched Liam's shoulder. "That's not polite. But Owen, maybe we should just talk first. Get to know each other." The visit settled into painful awkwardness. Owen took the armchair. The triplets arranged themselves on the opposite couch, with Maya wedged between them like a barrier. He leaned forward, trying, "What grade are you in? What's your favorite subject?" The delivery came out stiff, corporate, like he was conducting interviews. Zoe launched into elaborate stories about 2nd grade, her teacher, Mrs. Robertson, her best friend Mia, who could do a cartwheel. Owen nodded along, but his smile looked practiced, uncertain where to land. Liam gave one-word answers. "Fine. Math. Sure." Noah said nothing, just stared with those green eyes that mirrored Owen's own. Owen tried talking about his own childhood, boarding school in Connecticut, summer trips to Martha's Vineyard, skiing in Aspen. Maya watched her children's faces go blank. They didn't relate to any of it. The distance between his world and theirs stretched wider with every story. "Do you play any sports?" Owen asked Liam. The boy brightened. "Soccer. I'm a midfielder. Coach says I'm good at seeing the whole field." "That's great. I could get you some professional-grade gear, maybe cleats from—" Liam's walls slammed back up. "We're fine with what we have." The 2 hours crawled. Claudia appeared with cookies and milk, her smile sharp as broken glass. "So, Owen, what exactly are your intentions here?" He stumbled through answers about wanting to be part of their lives, to know them. The words sounded hollow even as he spoke them. The gifts sat in their bags, mostly untouched. Visual proof that money couldn't buy what he needed. At 4 o'clock, Owen stood to leave. He wanted to hug them. Maya saw it in how his hands moved, aborted the gesture. Zoe surprised everyone by running up and wrapping her arms around his legs. "Will you come back?" Owen's voice cracked. "If your mum says I can." Liam stayed on the couch. Noah had retreated to the stairs, watching from a safe distance. Maya walked Owen to the door. "That was terrible," Owen finished. "I didn't know what to say. I don't know how to do this." "Neither do I. But showing up with expensive things they don't need, that's not the answer." Friday evening, 10:30 p.m. Maya dragged the damp rag across the last table, her shoulders aching from 8 hours on her feet. The dinner rush had finally cleared, leaving the diner in that strange quiet hum of fluorescent lights and Jenna's muttered counting at the register. Except for the man in the corner booth. Maya spotted him and went still, rag suspended mid-wipe. "How long has he been here?" Jenna glanced up from the stack of bills. "That guy? Came in around 9:30, ordered coffee and pie, been glued to his laptop. Why?" Her eyes sharpened. "Wait, is that him?" Maya nodded. Jenna abandoned the register, protective fury already heating her stride, but Maya caught her arm. "It's okay. I'll handle it." "Maya, please." Jenna backed off with visible reluctance, returning to her counting but watching like a hawk. Maya crossed the empty diner, stopping at the edge of Owen's booth. "Are you stalking me now?" He looked up, and the exhaustion carved into his face stopped her next words cold. "No, I know how this looks, but I didn't know where else to go." Something in his voice, raw, stripped of the defensive edge she'd braced for, made her hesitate. "My father found out about the kids. Showed up at my office this afternoon demanding I end this distraction and focus on the business. We had a fight, a bad one." Maya stayed standing, arms crossed. "I told him I wasn't walking away from my children. He threatened to cut me off, the company, the trust fund, all of it." "What did you say?" "I told him to do it, that some things matter more than money." Maya slid into the booth before she could stop herself. It was the first thing he'd said that sounded like the Owen from 9 years ago, the one who'd stayed up all night, talking about building something meaningful, who'd kissed her in the rain outside her apartment, who'd looked at her like she was the only real thing in his carefully constructed world, before privilege and fear had turned him into someone else. They talked. The minutes stretched into an hour, the diner settling into stillness around them. Jenna cleaned with pointed noise, pretending she wasn't listening. Owen admitted he had no idea what he was doing, that last week's visit had been a disaster, that he was terrified of disappointing the kids again. "They've asked about you," Maya heard herself say. His whole body leaned forward. "Zoe wants to know if you'll come to her dance recital next month." Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. Owen's car pulled up to the curb exactly on time, and Liam abandoned his post by the window. "He's here." The boy retreated to the couch, arms crossed in a performance of indifference, and he didn't bring a million presents this time. Maya caught the grudging approval beneath the words. She wiped her palms on her jeans and opened the door. Owen stood on the porch in faded jeans and a plain grey t-shirt, no designer labels visible anywhere. The change was striking. Last week he'd looked like he was modeling expensive casual wear. Today he looked like a person. He held a single soccer ball. "I thought maybe." He gestured vaguely toward the backyard. Liam appeared at Maya's elbow, eyeing the ball with transparent interest he tried to hide. "We could play," Owen finished, "if you want." 20 minutes later, Maya sat on the porch steps watching her oldest son dissolve into laughter. Actual laughter, the kind that made his whole face light up. Owen had just completely whiffed a kick, the ball dribbling sideways into the fence. "Haven't you ever played?" Liam jogged after the ball, disbelief written across his features. "Not really." Owen rubbed the back of his neck. "My father thought soccer was for—" He stopped himself. "I just never learned." Liam retrieved the ball, something calculating crossing his face. Maya recognized that look, her son sensing opportunity. Okay, I'll show you. He dropped the ball at Owen's feet, suddenly authoritative. Inside of your foot, not your toe. Like this. For the next 45 minutes, her 7-year-old became the teacher, demonstrating proper form with the patience of someone who'd finally found something he was better at than the grown-up. Owen followed instructions with earnest concentration, still terrible but visibly trying. The power balance had shifted completely. Maya felt her chest loosen, watching her skeptical, protective son direct Owen across the yard with increasing confidence. When Noah slipped down from the porch and joined them, silent but present, trailing Owen's passes, she had to look away, blinking hard. "Mom!" Zoe materialized at her elbow, tugging her sleeve. "I'm bored. Can I show him my dance?" Before Maya could answer, Zoe was already marching across the grass. "Owen, you have to watch my recital dance. Sit there." She pointed at the grass like a director positioning an actor. Owen sat immediately, and Zoe launched into her routine, an enthusiastic if chaotic combination of ballet and gymnastics that would horrify her actual dance teacher. Owen applauded like he'd just witnessed Broadway. Wednesday, 3:45 p.m. The elementary school soccer field buzzed with parents unfolding chairs and kids stretching in grass-stained uniforms. Maya herded all 3 children through the crowd, Liam already in his jersey, Zoe twirling in her jacket, Noah clutching a sketchbook he brought everywhere. Claudia followed with the diaper bag Maya still used for snacks and water bottles, her presence as constant as gravity. Liam's eyes swept the sideline, his face arranged in careful indifference. "He's probably not coming." The words came out flat, practiced. "He's busy." Maya's chest tightened. She'd texted Owen the details, but traffic was unpredictable. Work ran late. 100 things could derail good intentions. "There!" Zoe's shriek cut through the ambient noise. "There he is!" Owen jogged across the field, tie loosened, dress shirt untucked, briefcase abandoned somewhere. He arrived breathless, scanning frantically until he found them. "Sorry, meeting ran over." "Did I miss it?" Liam's face did something complicated. Relief buried under suspicion. Hope wrestled back into submission. "Warm-up's just finished." Owen dropped into the empty chair beside Maya, still catching his breath. Claudia sat on Maya's other side, her spine rigid, gaze fixed on the field. She didn't acknowledge him, didn't leave either. The referee's whistle blew. Maya had watched Liam play dozens of games, knew his tells, the way he chewed his bottom lip during defense, how his shoulders dropped when he missed a pass. Today he played tighter, sharper, stealing glances toward the sideline every few minutes. Owen leaned forward, elbows on knees, tracking Liam's every movement. His phone stayed in his pocket. When another parent's cell rang, Owen didn't even glance over. 15 minutes in, Liam intercepted a pass, drove down the field, and kicked. The ball sailed past the goalkeeper's outstretched hands. Owen exploded out of his chair. "Yes, that's my boy!" Heads turned. Maya's face heated, but Owen didn't notice, too busy shouting congratulations as Liam jogged back to position. The boy's ears went red. His teammate slapped his back and he ducked his head, but the smile broke through his careful control. He looked right at Owen, just for a second. Halftime brought a stampede of sweaty children demanding orange slices. Liam materialized in front of their group, flushed and grinning. "Did you see I scored? You were incredible." Owen's voice carried genuine awe, no performance in it. Maya ruffled Liam's damp hair. "That footwork was perfect, baby." For 3 heartbeats, they looked like any other family. Mother, father, siblings, grandmother, grouped together in celebration. The illusion was so complete, Maya almost believed it herself. Claudia's expression flickered, something painful and complicated crossing her features, before she shuttered it away. Breathless, like he'd sprinted from a parking lot 3 blocks over. "Sorry." He bent, hands on knees, gulping air. "Meeting ran late. Did I miss it?" Relief flooded Liam's features before he caught himself, face smoothing back to neutral. Claudia's mouth pressed into a thin line as Owen joined them in the parent section, but she didn't gather her things and leave. Small mercies. Owen dropped into the folding chair beside Maya, still catching his breath. She caught the faint scent of cologne mixed with sweat, noticed the wrinkled state of his Oxford shirt. "Traffic?" she asked. Client wouldn't stop talking. He loosened his tie completely, yanked it free. "Told my assistant to reschedule everything after 3 on Wednesdays." Maya blinked. "You don't have to—" "Yeah, I do." Out on the field, Liam took his position, glancing toward the sideline one more time before the whistle blew. Owen leaned forward, elbows on knees, watching with an intensity that seemed excessive for 7-year-olds chasing a ball around patchy grass. His phone buzzed twice in his pocket. He didn't reach for it. Zoe provided running commentary, explaining rules Owen clearly didn't understand, pointing out which kids were Liam's friends, narrating interpersonal dynamics with the thoroughness of a sports analyst. Noah sat cross-legged on the ground, sketching the scene in his ever-present notebook. 15 minutes in, Liam intercepted a pass, dodged 2 defenders with surprising agility for someone so small, and drove the ball past the goalie into the net. Owen erupted from his chair, arms raised, shouting loud enough to startle the parents around them. "Yes, that's my—" He caught himself, voice dropping. "That's Liam!" Maya's throat constricted. Liam jogged back to center field, face flushed with effort and barely suppressed pride. He didn't look toward them, but his grin stretched wide enough to see from 20 yards away. Claudia shifted beside Maya, expression inscrutable. At halftime, Liam ran over, grass stains on both knees, hair plastered to his forehead with sweat. "Did you see?" "I saw." Owen's voice carried something raw, unguarded. "That was incredible." Maya ruffled Liam's damp hair. "You're playing great, baby." "We're winning 3-2. Liam bounced on his toes, energy barely contained. "Coach says if we win this one, we make playoffs." For 30 seconds, they looked like any other family clustered on the sideline. Mother, father, siblings, grandmother. The ordinariness of it struck Maya with unexpected force. Then the whistle blew, and Liam sprinted back, leaving them in tableau. The second half blurred past. Owen stayed locked on the game, calling encouragement that made Liam's teammates glance over curiously. When the final whistle confirmed the win, the team erupted in celebration. Parents started gathering their things. Someone mentioned the pizza place 2 blocks over, team tradition after victories. Liam jogged over one more time, eyes bright with triumph and something else. Hesitation, maybe. "We're going for pizza. The whole team." He addressed Maya, but his eyes slid toward Owen. Can I come?" Owen asked. Liam nodded. Maya's instinct screamed caution. Supervised visits in her living room were containable. Pizza with the team meant other parents. Assumptions, questions she wasn't ready to answer. But Liam's expression held something she hadn't seen directed at Owen before. Hope, undefended and fragile. "Yeah," she heard herself say. "You can come." Monday morning, 9 a.m. Owen sat outside the Fletcher real estate boardroom in a chair that cost more than most people's monthly rent. The suit felt like a costume now, stiff, constricting, borrowed from a life he no longer recognized as his own. His phone buzzed. "Whatever happens today, the kids and I are proud of you for standing up to him." Maya's text settled something in his chest. He read it 3 times before the boardroom doors opened. Richard strode in, flanked by company lawyers and board members, whose names Owen had known since childhood. Men who'd attended his college graduation, his father's 60th birthday gala, every Fletcher milestone that mattered to the family ledger. "Ready to come to your senses?" Richard didn't sit, towering over the table like a general surveying troops. The meeting began. Richard slid a contract across polished mahogany. "Full-time commitment. New York headquarters for the expansion project. 2 years minimum. Your office is already being prepared." Owen scanned the terms. Relocation. Immediate. Non-negotiable. 2 years in New York meant weekends at best with the Triplets. Meant missing Liam's soccer games, Zoe's recitals, Noah's art shows. Meant exactly the kind of absence that would shatter the fragile trust he'd spent weeks building. "This is an opportunity," Richard continued. "Proof of commitment to the family legacy." "By family, you mean the business?" Owen looked up. "Not my actual children." Richard's silence confirmed everything. "You're forcing a choice you think I won't make." Owen stood, picked up his name placard, Owen Fletcher, VP Development, and placed it in front of his father. "I resign. From the board. From the company. From any claim to the family trust or money." The room exploded. Board members half rose from seats, voices overlapping. "Owen, let's discuss this rationally. Think about what you're throwing away." Richard slammed his palm on the table. "You're destroying your birthright over a waitress and 3. Don't." Owen's voice cut through the chaos. "Don't finish that sentence." He looked at each board member in turn, men who'd watched him grow up, men who said nothing when Richard tried to erase his children from existence. "I'm choosing a different birthright, one that actually matters." He walked out while his father was still shouting. The elevator ride down 43 floors felt like shedding skin. By the time Owen reached the parking garage, his hands shook so badly he had to grip the steering wheel to steady them. He called Maya. I quit, all of it. My father, the company, the money. Silence stretched across the line. Owen, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. I won't let him use the company to control me or threaten you and the kids. His voice cracked. I'll figure out work. I have savings, skills, but I won't choose money over them. Not again. Soft crying on the other end. What are you going to do now? Can I come by? I know it's not Saturday, but I just... He stopped, throat tight. I need to see them, to remember why I just blew up my entire life. Come. Owen drove away from the glass towers, toward the modest neighborhood where his real family lived. Owen scanned the contract without touching it. New York. 2 years. The words blurred together into one clear message. Choose us or choose them. This is non-negotiable, Richard said. You've had your little vacation from responsibility. Time to remember who you are. I know exactly who I am. Owen stood, removed his name placard from the table, and placed it in front of his father. I'm Liam, Zoe, and Noah's father. That's who I am now. The room stilled. I resign. From the board, from the company, from any claim to the family money or trust. Draw up whatever documents you need. I'll sign them. Chaos erupted. Board members protesting. Richard's face purpling with rage. Lawyers scrambling for precedent. Owen walked toward the door. You're throwing away your birthright. Richard's shout echoed off marble floors. Owen paused at the threshold. No, I'm choosing a different one. One that actually matters. The elevator ride down felt like shedding skin. Maya's kitchen was small, cluttered with permission slips and crayon drawings held to the fridge by magnets. Owen sat at the same table where he'd watched the triplets eat breakfast weeks ago, hands wrapped around coffee in a chipped mug that said, World's Best Mom. Tell me what happened. He recounted the board meeting, Richard's ultimatum, the contract that would have taken him away for 2 years, the moment he'd walked out. Maya listened without interrupting, her fingers tracing the rim of her own mug. Are you terrified? She finally asked. Completely. The admission came easier than expected. I have savings, skills, connections outside the company, but I've never actually had to figure it out on my own. And my father, I don't think we come back from this. I know what that's like, being on your own. Maya's voice softened. It's terrifying and freeing at the same time. I need you to know something. Owen leaned forward. The kids are getting attached to me. I see it. And if I mess this up, if I leave again, it'll destroy them worse than never knowing me. I know. So I'm promising you, right now I will never leave. Even if you hate me, even if we can never be what we were, I'll be here. For them. For you, if you'll let me. Maya's eyes glistened. I haven't let anyone close in 8 years. Not dating, not even trying. I shut down that part of myself because when you left I couldn't survive being abandoned again while raising 3 babies alone. Owen's hand moved across the table, stopping just before touching hers. The space between their fingers hummed with possibility. Her phone alarm shattered the moment. School pickup. Come with me, she said. The living room exploded with shredded wrapping paper and 8-year-old shrieks. Maya stood in the doorway with coffee, watching Owen help Noah untangle ribbon from around his neck, while Zoe demonstrated her new dance shoes, already wearing them despite still being in pajamas. Mom, look what Dad got Liam! Zoe pointed at the soccer tactics book her brother clutched like treasure. Dad. The word landed in Maya's chest, warm and terrifying. 6 weeks. Owen had been consistent for 6 weeks, every Saturday visit, every Wednesday soccer game, every promised appearance. He'd found contract work with a smaller development firm, moved into a modest apartment 15 minutes away, stopped checking his phone during conversations with the kids. The party starts at 2, Claudia announced from the kitchen, frosting-covered hands on her hips. That gives us 4 hours to prepare for 12 screaming children. Jenna appeared behind her carrying an elaborate 3-tier cake. Correction, 11 screaming children and Liam, who'll spend the whole time making sure nobody breaks anything. Liam looked up from his book, offended. I don't do that. You absolutely do, Zoe sing-songed. The doorbell started ringing at 1:58 p.m. By 3 o'clock, the backyard resembled a war zone. Second graders careened between streamer-draped tables, while Owen refereed an increasingly chaotic game of musical chairs. His expensive watch, one of the few material things he'd kept, was smeared with chocolate frosting. You're actually good at this, Jenna murmured to Maya, both of them supervising from the porch. At what? Controlled chaos? At letting him in. Maya watched Owen kneel beside a crying child, who'd lost musical chairs, voice gentle as he explained everyone would get cake regardless. I'm terrified. I know, Jenna squeezed her shoulder, but look at them. The triplets glowed. Zoe had appointed herself Owen's assistant, bossing other children into lines. Noah shadowed him quietly, occasionally tugging his sleeve to point out things Owen needed to notice. Liam had stopped watching Owen with suspicion weeks ago. Now he just watched, soaking up attention like he'd been starved for it, which he had been. Guilt twisted Maya's stomach. Had she been wrong to keep them from him? Would telling him 8 years ago have— "Stop," Claudia said quietly, appearing at her elbow. "I know that face. You made the best choice you could with the information you had. He left. You protected them. He's different now. I know." Claudia's admission carried weight. 6 weeks of observation, testing, waiting for Owen to fail. He hasn't missed one day he promised to show up. Not one. The happy birthday moment arrived at 4:30. All 3 triplets crowded around the massive cake with 8 candles blazing. Owen stood beside Maya, phone out to record, their shoulders touching. They looked married. The thought paralyzed her. Every parent around them saw a family, mum, dad, 3 kids. Normal, complete. Everything she'd told herself for 8 years she didn't need. Make a wish, someone called. 3 wishes, 3 breaths. Candles extinguished in a shower of spit and smoke. Zoe whispered her wish to the nearest adult. "I wished Dad stays forever." The aftermath was quieter. Friends collected by parents, trash bags filled, frosting scraped off walls. The triplets sat in a paper and ribbon nest, opening family gifts while the adults collapsed around them. Maya's gifts came first, memory books she'd assembled over weeks. Photos from births, first steps, kindergarten graduations, stories written in her handwriting about the moments that defined each child. Noah traced his fingers over a photo of himself at 3, covered in finger paint. "You wrote what I said. More blue, Mama. You always needed more blue." Owen's practical gifts earned genuine delight. The tactics book Liam immediately buried himself in, art supplies that made Noah's eyes huge, dance shoes Zoe refused to take off. Then Owen pulled out a large envelope. "I have one more thing." His voice shook. "I know legally I'm already your father, but I want to make it official, really official, that I'm choosing you." He opened the envelope. Custody agreement, co-parenting plan, legal documentation of commitment. "Maya, if you're willing, I'd like to establish formal custody rights. Not to take them from you, never that, but to make it official that I'm here, for school decisions, doctor visits, everything, forever." Claudia pressed knuckles to her mouth. Liam moved first, launching himself at Owen with a ferocity that nearly knocked him over. Then Zoe, then Noah, quiet Noah, wrapping arms around Owen's neck and whispering, "You're staying." "I'm staying," Owen confirmed, eyes wet. Evening settled over the debris of celebration. Children asleep upstairs, sugar-crashed and content. The adults remained in the living room with leftover cake and exhaustion. Claudia set down her plate. "You've done good these past weeks." She looked directly at Owen. "I didn't think you would, but you have." Owen's face crumpled slightly. "Thank you. That means everything. Don't make me regret saying it." "I won't." Jenna and Claudia left together around 9, Jenna throwing Maya a significant look that promised interrogation later. Maya walked Owen to his car under warm night sky, street quiet except for distant crickets. "Thank you for today," she said. "For all of it." Owen stepped closer. "Maya, I know we've been focused on the kids, but I need you to know I never stopped, Owen, loving you. I never stopped loving you." The words hung between them, impossible and true. "We can't just pick up where—" "I know, I'm not asking to. I'm just telling you that being here, being with them, with you, it's shown me what I threw away. And if there's any chance, any possibility that someday you could forgive me enough to—" Maya kissed him, sudden, reckless. 8 years of unresolved emotion compressed into contact, his hands finding her waist, her fingers in his hair, both of them shaking with want and fear, and the terrible hope that maybe, somehow, they could have this. When they broke apart, Maya pressed forehead to his chest. "I don't know what this means." "Me neither." Owen's voice was wrecked. "But I want to find out." They stood in the driveway, breathing each other's air. The world narrowed to this moment. Then Owen left and Maya went inside, and she leaned against the door, touching her lips like a teenager, terrified and exhilarated, and finally willing to believe in second chances. Monday morning, 7 a.m. Maya stood in her kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, listening to the voicemail for the third time as if repetition might change the words. Ms. Thompson, this is Gerald Hastings of Hastings and Rowe, representing Richard Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher has formally requested a custody evaluation regarding his grandchildren Liam, Zoe and Noah Thompson. Given concerns about financial instability and recent disruptions to the children's established routine, we believe a court assessment is warranted. Please have your attorney contact our office within 5 business days. The professional monotone made it worse. Clinical, surgical, a scalpel aimed at everything she'd built. Maya's hands shook as she deleted the message. Upstairs, footsteps thundered, the triplets waking, oblivious. She forced herself to move, to pour cereal, to braid Zoe's hair, to remind Liam about his spelling test. Normal. Everything had to look normal. But her mind screamed with every fear she'd carried for 8 years. Not enough money, not the right address, not the right last name. Richard Fletcher was going to use every one of those truths against her. The moment the school bus pulled away, she called Owen. He wouldn't. Owen's voice was raw with shock when she told him. Even he wouldn't use them as he already did. The lawyer called. It's real. Silence crackled through the line. Then, I'll handle this. I'll talk to him. I'll... Talk? Maya's laugh was bitter. Your father just threatened to take my children because I work at a diner. Because I rent instead of own. Because... She stopped herself before saying what they both knew. Because she wasn't rich, wasn't white, wasn't worthy in Richard Fletcher's world. Maya, no. This isn't about you. It's about controlling me. It's about both. Her voice went flat. And it's working. By mid-morning, Jenna had called. Word traveled fast in their neighborhood. By noon, Claudia stood in Maya's living room, arms crossed. Do you have a lawyer? With what money, Mama? Then we find legal aid. We document everything. We show any judge that those babies have everything they need right here. But Maya heard what Claudia didn't say. Everything except wealth. She went to her diner shift on autopilot, smiling at customers while panic clawed her throat. At 6 p.m., Owen appeared in her section, face haggard. I called him. He's unapologetic. Owen slid into the booth, voice low. Said if I won't return to the company, he'll prove I'm unstable, that I threw away my career irrationally, and that you're unfit because you can't provide what Fletcher grandchildren deserve. Maya's vision blurred. So he wins. Either you go back and disappear from their lives again, or he drags us through court and destroys us anyway. There has to be another way. But neither of them could see it. That night, after her shift, Maya sat in the dark living room, her phone lit up. Let me fix this. I'll give him what he wants. I'll go back to the company if it means he leaves you and the kids alone. Something broke inside her chest. She called him. No, you're not sacrificing everything because your father is a monster. Then what do we do? Owen's voice cracked. I can't let him take them from you. You're not the only one who's been powerless, Owen. I've been fighting for them for 8 years. This is just another fight. She steadied herself. But I won't let my children learn that bullies win if you give them what they want. So we fight? We fight. Together. But after hanging up, Maya let herself shatter. Great heaving sobs she'd held all day. The vulnerability she'd just started allowing now felt like bleeding in shark-infested water. She texted him again. Maybe this was a mistake. You coming back? Maybe I was selfish and now my kids are going to pay for it. His response came immediately. No, don't think that, please. Maya didn't answer. She sat in the dark, alone, rebuilding walls brick by brick. Thursday evening, 6:30 p.m. Maya stood at the stove stirring pasta sauce when the knock came. Firm, insistent. She didn't need to check the peephole to know. Owen looked wrecked. 3 days of unanswered calls had carved shadows under his eyes, stubble darkening his jaw. You've been avoiding me for 3 days. We need to talk. Maya glanced toward the kitchen where 3 heads bent over homework. Not now. Yes, now. She stepped onto the porch, pulling the door shut. The evening air pressed close, humid and thick. Talk to me. Owen's voice cracked at the edges. Tell me what you're thinking. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. The words had been circling for 72 hours, wearing grooves in her mind. I think you should step back. His face went blank. What? Not permanently, just while the legal thing is happening. The custody evaluation, they're going to look at stability. And you just quit your job, you're living on savings. You've only been in their lives for 2 months. If we present as separated co-parents with me as primary custodian and you as a father working toward more involvement, it looks more stable than... Than what? The hurt in his voice made her chest ache. Than whatever this is. Than you sleeping on my couch sometimes than us. She couldn't say kissing. It looks chaotic. It looks like I'm unstable too. So you want me to leave? To pretend the last 2 months didn't happen? I want my children to be safe. The words tore out of her. Your father has lawyers and money and power, and I have a rental house and a diner job, and the fact that I'm a black single mother, which doesn't exactly inspire confidence in the system. So yes, I think you stepping back protects them. It doesn't protect them. Owen stepped closer, his jaw set. It teaches them that when things get hard, people leave. I've already done that to them once. I won't do it again. You think I want this? Maya's voice climbed. You think I want to push you away after watching my children finally have a father who shows up? But I've been doing this alone for 8 years, and I know how to survive alone, and I don't know if I can survive watching them get ripped away because some judge decides I'm not good enough. The door swung open. Liam stood backlit by kitchen light, small and rigid. Are you leaving again? Behind him, Zoe clutched Noah's hand. Both wore identical expressions of fear Maya had spent 8 years trying to prevent. Owen dropped to his knees on the porch. No, I'm not leaving. Your mum and I are just disagreeing about something, but that doesn't mean I'm going anywhere. Liam's eyes cut to Maya. Mum? She saw it then, what she was doing. Recreating the wound, making them watch their father walk away because she was too terrified to fight. He's not leaving, she said, the words scraping her throat raw. I'm sorry, baby. We were just talking loud. Nobody's leaving. Liam stared at her for 3 heartbeats, then nodded and retreated inside, herding his siblings back to the table. The silence stretched. Maya's hands shook. I was wrong, she whispered. Asking you to step back. That's not what's best for them. I'm just scared. Me too. Owen stood slowly. But we face it together. That's what co-parents do. What partners do. Partners. The word settled between them. Undefined but weighted with possibility. Maya nodded. Together. But Owen, if your father actually files for custody, we need a plan. A real one. I have a plan. His voice steadied. I'm seeing a lawyer tomorrow. I'm going to formally establish my parental rights, offer child support, create a co-parenting agreement that protects you and shows stability. And I'm going to have the lawyer send a message to my father. If he pursues this, I'll make it very public what he's actually trying to do. Use his grandchildren as pawns. He cares about reputation. I'm betting he won't want that story out there. A gamble, but something. Maya exhaled. Okay. Saturday afternoon. Maya watched from the kitchen doorway as Owen spread craft supplies across her living room floor. Construction paper, glue sticks, tiny plastic astronauts for Noah's space diorama. 1 week since Richard's lawyer had gone silent, but the silence sat between them like furniture nobody could move around. Can I use the silver glitter? Zoe held up a bottle. Your mum might kill me if we get glitter everywhere. Owen glanced up, caught Maya's eye, tried a smile. She almost returned it. Almost. Liam positioned cardboard planets on fishing line. We need Saturn's rings bigger. Bigger rings, got it? Owen cut yellow construction paper, his hands steady even if everything else wasn't. Zoe tilted her head, studying them with 7-year-old directness. Are you and Mom mad at each other? The scissors stopped. No, honey. Maya moved into the room, sat on the arm of the couch. We just had a stressful week. But you're not boyfriend-girlfriend anymore. They were never boyfriend-girlfriend, Zoe. Shut up. Liam didn't look up from his planets. Owen set down the scissors. Your mom and I are figuring things out. But no matter what, we both love you 3 more than anything. Zoe frowned. That's not a real answer. It's the answer you're getting, Liam said, suddenly older than 7. Leave it alone. 20 minutes later, the backyard echoed with shrieks as Noah's shoebox spacecraft met its inevitable fate, crash landing into the grass. Maya filled 2 coffee mugs at the kitchen sink, heard Owen come up behind her. I'm sorry I pushed you away. She didn't turn around. I panicked. I get it. His voice was close. My father he's a lot, and I brought that threat into your life. But he's gone now? She faced him. For real? For now. Owen's honesty hurt worse than a lie would have. He's backed off, but I don't trust that he's given up entirely. So I'm still building our documentation, establishing everything legally. So we're just waiting for the next crisis? Owen reached across the counter. This time his hand didn't stop. It covered hers, warm and certain. Or we're building something strong enough to weather whatever comes. She looked at their joined hands. Your choice, he added quietly. Through the window, Zoe was trying to repair the spacecraft with duct tape. Liam was explaining why it wouldn't work. Noah was already drawing designs for a better one. Choice, Maya repeated, like she'd ever really had one, not since he broke into her house and saw those photographs. Not since 3 green-eyed children asked if the tall man was their father. Evening settled soft and purple. The kids smelled like soap and toothpaste, tucked into beds after Owen had read 3 chapters of the book Zoe had chosen. Maya walked him to the porch, 2 coffee mugs between them, like a peace offering. "Can I ask you something?" She settled into the rickety chair Claudia kept threatening to replace. "That night we kissed, what did it mean to you?" Owen lowered himself onto the porch railing, took his time answering. "It meant I want a second chance, not just with the kids. I have that. But with you, with us, if there can be an us. I don't know if I know how to do that." The admission cost her. "I've been alone for so long, and trusting you with my heart, not just their hearts. Then don't trust me with it yet." She blinked. "Let me earn it," Owen said. "However long that takes." Maya studied him. This man who'd shattered her at 20 and was now sitting on her porch at 28, asking for something he had no right to want, except he'd shown up. For 8 weeks straight he'd shown up. "Okay," she said quietly. "Earn it. Not forgiveness, not yet, but a door left unlocked. Friday night, 10 p.m. Maya wiped down the last table, muscles aching from the dinner rush. Jenna counted tips at the register, humming off-key. The door chime rang. Owen stood in the entrance, still in his work shirt but untucked, hair disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. His eyes were red-rimmed, wet. "I'm sorry to show up like this." His voice cracked. "I didn't know where else to go." Jenna's hand stilled on the cash drawer. Maya straightened, disrag forgotten. "What happened?" He stepped inside, the door swinging shut behind him. "My mother called." The words tumbled out. His mother, filing for divorce after decades of sleeping in separate wings of the house, maintaining appearances at charity galas while living like strangers. How she told him his defiance of Richard had given her courage to finally choose herself. "She wants to meet them, the kids." Owen's hands shook. "She said she's wasted enough years pretending to be someone she's not, and she won't waste whatever time she has left not knowing her grandchildren." Maya moved closer. Jenna made herself busy with the register, back turned. "My whole family is fractured." Owen's voice broke completely. "My father hates me. My mother is upending her entire life, and the only family I have that actually feels stable is you and the kids. And I'm terrified." He pressed his palms to his eyes. "I'm terrified I'm going to screw it up because I don't know how to do this. I never learned how families are supposed to work, how to love people without conditions attached." Maya closed the distance between them, wrapped her arms around him. He collapsed into her, shaking with sobs he'd probably been holding back for hours, maybe years. She held him tighter, this man who'd broken her, who was breaking now in her arms. His expensive cologne mixed with diner grease and exhaustion. "You're learning," she whispered against his shoulder. "Every day, you're learning." Behind them, Jenna's keys jingled softly as she let herself out the back. Maya's living room felt different at midnight, quieter, smaller, more honest. Owen sat on the couch, elbows on his knees, staring at his hands. The kids were at Claudia's for their monthly sleepover, the house empty except for the 2 of them, and 8 years of unfinished conversations. "Tell me about your childhood." Maya handed him tea. Saturday afternoon, 2 weeks after Owen's breakdown. Maya surveyed her living room one final time. Vacuumed, dusted, throw pillows arranged just so. Claudia had helped that morning before strategically disappearing. "Too much?" "It's fine, baby." Claudia had kissed her cheek on the way out. "But I'm not staying to meet her, one Fletcher at a time." Now the triplets fidgeted in their nice clothes. Liam tugged at his collar. Zoe kept checking her reflection in the window. Noah clutched a folder of drawings he'd selected. Owen arrived first, tie slightly crooked. Maya had never seen him this rattled. "She's not like my father." He straightened Noah's shirt collar, hands shaking. "She's going to love you." Headlights swept across the window. Eleanor Fletcher stepped out of a modest sedan, not the luxury car Maya expected. Late 50s, silver threading through dark hair, wearing a simple dress that spoke of elegance without showing off. She carried a wicker basket and a tin. Owen met her at the door. They embraced, Eleanor cupping his face. "Ready?" she whispered. He led her inside. Eleanor's eyes found the children, and something crumpled in her expression. She set down the basket and knelt, ignoring the cost to her stockings on Maya's worn carpet. "Hello, I'm Eleanor, your grandmother." Zoe stepped forward first. "You don't look like a grandma." "What do grandmas look like?" "Old, with glasses and sweaters. Eleanor laughed, rich and genuine. I have glasses, and several sweaters. Does that count? Liam approached cautiously. Did you know about us? No, sweetheart, I didn't, and I'm so sorry for that. Why are you sorry? Noah's quiet voice. You didn't do anything. Eleanor's eyes glistened. Sometimes not knowing is its own kind of failure. She opened the basket. Books, not toys. Age-appropriate novels, a collection of fairy tales, a sketchbook for Noah with real artist pencils. The cookies were homemade, still warm. These are Grandma's chocolate chip, Owen's favorite when he was your age. You made them? Zoe's eyes widened. This morning. I wasn't sure what you'd like, so I made what I know. Maya watched from the kitchen doorway, throat tight. This woman, this Fletcher, was nothing like Richard's cold disdain. The afternoon unfolded with surprising ease. Eleanor sat on the floor with the children, asking about school, friends, favorite subjects. When Zoe showed her Noah's family portraits, the progression from distant father to closer connection, Eleanor pressed a hand to her mouth. You're all so beautiful. I'm sorry I didn't know about you sooner. She turned to Maya, standing now. May I speak with you? They stepped into the kitchen. Eleanor's composure wavered. I don't blame you for keeping them from us. Her voice dropped low. If I'd known what Richard did, what Owen did, she steadied herself, I would have helped you. I wish I had been there. Maya hadn't realized she needed those words until they landed. You couldn't have known. No, but I knew Richard. I knew what he was capable of. Eleanor's jaw tightened. I stayed too long in that marriage. Let his poison touch my son. I'm not making that mistake anymore. Through the window, the children showed Eleanor their room, chattering over each other. Later, Eleanor pulled Owen aside on the porch. Maya watched through the glass as mother embraced son, speaking urgently. Owen nodded, wiping his eyes. When they returned, Eleanor addressed the children directly. I'd like to be part of your lives. If that's okay with your mother, and with you. She looked at each triplet. I've missed 8 years. I don't want to miss any more. You can come to my soccer games, Liam, and my dance recital. Zoe. Noah approached shyly, holding out his folder. I drew you something, for meeting us. Eleanor opened it, a portrait of their family, now including her. Standing close, not distant, she wept. As she prepared to leave hours later, Eleanor hugged Maya at the door. Thank you for raising them so well. They're extraordinary. After her car disappeared, the children exploded with excitement. We have 2 grandmas now. Did you see her cookies? She said she'd teach me to draw perspective. Claudia returned 20 minutes later, expression guarded. How'd it go? Maya smiled. It was good, really good. She's nothing like his father. That evening, after bedtime, Owen stayed to help with dishes. They moved around each other, familiar now. My mom told me something today. He dried a plate slowly. She said watching you with the kids, seeing the life you built, it reminded her what love actually looks like, that it's action, not words. Presence, not presence. He set the plate down, turned to face her. I think I'm finally understanding that too. Maya met his eyes, saw the man he'd become, not the boy who'd run. I think you are. Silence stretched, charged with 8 years and 2 months and every moment between. Maya, can I take you on an actual date? Not co-parenting, not about the kids, just us. Her stomach flipped, heart hammered. Yes. Okay, yes. His smile broke like sunrise. Friday evening, 6:30 p.m. Maya stood in front of her closet in her bra and jeans, holding up 2 dresses while Jenna sat cross-legged on the bed and Claudia leaned against the doorframe. The blue one, Jenna said. Too formal, Claudia countered. The black makes me look like I'm going to a funeral. Then wear the damn blue. Maya tossed both on the bed. What if this ruins everything? We're good at co-parenting now. We have a rhythm. What if trying to be more destroys what we've built? Jenna stood, grabbed the blue dress and thrust it at her. Or what if you finally get the love story you deserved all along? Stop catastrophizing and put this on. At 7 p.m. sharp, Owen knocked. Maya opened the door to find him in dark slacks and a button-down, no tie, the sweet spot between effort and ease. His eyes widened when he saw her. You look beautiful. You clean up okay yourself. The drive downtown was quiet, nervous energy crackling between them. Owen pulled up to a small jazz club tucked between buildings, warm light spilling from its windows. Not Le Bernardin? Maya teased, referencing the Michelin-starred restaurant he'd once taken her to in their college days. God, no, that place was pretentious even then. I wanted something real. Inside, a trio played soft standards while couples talked over candlelight. They slid into a corner booth, menus between them like shields. Owen broke the ice first. "Tell me something about you. Not about the kids, about Maya." She blinked. "What do you mean? What do you want?" "Not for them, for you. Dreams you put on hold." Maya turned her water glass, watching condensation streak the sides. When had she last let herself want anything beyond making rent and keeping her children happy? "I had a year left," she said slowly. "On my business degree. When I got pregnant, I dropped out. I always thought maybe I'd go back, but then there were 3 babies and diapers and daycare costs." She looked up. "I don't know if I even remember how to dream for myself." "You should go back." Owen leaned forward. "Finish it. I could help with the kids while you're in classes." "Owen, I'm serious." "You're brilliant, Maya. You run circles around half the MBAs I worked with. You should have that degree." Something cracked open in her chest. He saw her, not just as the mother of his children, not as the woman he'd wronged, as herself. Their food arrived. They ate and talked, the conversation flowing like old times but deeper now, earned through pain. "I need you to stop apologizing for 8 years ago," Maya said suddenly. "You've shown me who you are now. I believe you've changed. But we can't build something new if we're drowning in what was." Owen exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for months. "Okay, present tense, future tense, no more past. Deal." After dinner they walked through the park across the street, city lights reflecting in the pond. Owen's hand found hers. Maya laced their fingers together. They ended up on a bench beneath fairy lights strung through trees. "I'm in love with you," Owen said. "I think I never stopped." Maya's breath hitched. "Being with you and the kids, it showed me what was missing, not just them. You. I'm still scared sometimes," Maya whispered, "that you'll wake up and realize this life is too small. That world was empty." Owen cupped her face. "This is real." Maya kissed him. No hesitation this time, no pulling back, just choosing him, choosing this, choosing them. When they broke apart, she was crying. "I love you too." They held each other as the night deepened around them. 2 people who'd lost everything finding their way home. Saturday morning, Maya and Owen gathered the triplets at the kitchen table. Liam had suggested a family meeting, his 7-year-old attempt at imposing order on the chaos of emotions swirling through the house. Zoe bounced in her chair. "Are you getting married? Are we all moving in together?" Liam asked, more cautious. Noah simply watched, his green eyes tracking between his parents. Maya and Owen exchanged glances. They'd rehearsed this conversation last night after he'd dropped her off, both of them giddy and terrified. "We're dating now," Maya said. "We love each other, and we love you 3 more than anything. But that doesn't mean sudden huge changes," Owen added. "We're taking it slow. We want to do this right." The questions came rapid fire. Liam needed logistics. Would Owen be at every dinner? Owen confirmed yes. Zoe wanted to know about living arrangements. Maya explained they'd keep separate homes for now. Then Noah spoke, his voice small. "Does this mean you won't leave?" Owen slid off his chair and kneeled in front of his youngest son. "I will never leave. Whether your mom and I are dating or not, I will always be your dad. Always." Noah launched himself into Owen's arms. Weeks blurred into new rhythms. Owen appeared at family dinners, stayed late for movies but drove home to his apartment afterward. He and Maya were affectionate, hand-holding, quick kisses, but appropriate for young eyes. Eleanor claimed Wednesdays for grandmother dates, teaching the triplets to bake elaborate desserts that arrived at Maya's house in carefully wrapped boxes. The breakthrough came on a Sunday, when Claudia invited Owen to dinner at her house. He'd stood at her doorway holding flowers, and she'd looked at him for a long moment before stepping aside. "Come in. You're family now." Owen had cried in her bathroom for 5 minutes. By Thanksgiving, Maya's modest dining room overflowed. The table, extended with a folding card table on one end, barely contained everyone. Maya, Owen, the triplets, Claudia, Eleanor and Jenna. Liam said grace, his small voice steady. "Thank you for bringing our dad home, and for making Mum smile again." Owen gripped Maya's hand under the table. During the meal, Noah distributed his latest artwork, a family portrait showing all of them in a circle, hands linked, no one standing apart. Owen excused himself. Maya found him in the hallway, shoulders shaking. "You okay?" He turned, face wet. "I'm more than okay. I'm home." That evening, after dishes were washed and guests had departed, after the children were asleep upstairs, Owen led Maya to the backyard. "I'm not proposing," he said quickly, producing a small box. "Not yet," we said slow, and I meant it. Inside sat a delicate silver band. "It's a promise that I'm here, choosing you and them every day. When you're ready, a year, 5 years, whenever, I'll ask for real. Maya's hands trembled as she slipped it on, all those happy tears lately, washing away years of sad ones. Ask me now, she whispered. Owen's eyes went wide. What? Ask me now? Maya, are you sure? Ask me. Owen stared at Maya, backyard shadows pooling around them. We said slow because we were scared. Maya's voice cut through his hesitation. I'm not scared anymore. Are you? He searched her face, found nothing but certainty reflected back. No, I'm not scared. I've been sure since that night at the diner when you let me back in. Then ask me. Owen dropped to one knee in the grass, still damp from evening watering. His hands shook as he held hers. Maya Thompson, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life showing you and our children that love isn't perfect, but it's worth fighting for? Will you? Yes. She was crying, pulling him up. Yes, yes, yes. They kissed, tasting salt and laughter, the promise ring catching starlight. We should pick out a real engagement ring, Owen managed between kisses. Later, Maya pressed her forehead to his. This one means more anyway. They agreed to wait a few days before telling the children, to let the decision settle into their bones first. Zoe shattered that plan at breakfast. Mom, is that a ring? The kitchen erupted. Liam abandoned his waffle mid-bite. Noah's orange juice hit the table. You're getting married? Liam's voice carried cautious hope. Does that mean we're moving in together? Whose house? Zoe spun in circles. I'm going to be a flower girl. I want to be ring bearer, Noah said quietly. So you can't be both, Liam pointed out. Why not? Zoe planted her hands on her hips. It's our wedding too. Maya caught Owen's eye across the chaos. Our wedding, our family. The planning conversations that followed were equal parts touching and absurd. Noah lobbied for carrying flowers and rings simultaneously. Liam suggested incorporating soccer somehow. Maybe you could kick a ball down the aisle instead of throwing a bouquet. Zoe designed 17 different dress concepts, all involving tiaras. Thursday evening, Maya and Owen spread a calendar across her kitchen table. Church or outdoors, Owen asked. The park, where we had our first date. Maya circled a Saturday in April. 4 months? Is that too soon? It's not soon enough. They sketched guest lists. Immediate family, Jenna, a handful of close friends. Small, intimate, real. I can cover the costs, Owen offered. Maya shook her head. Equal partners, remember? We split it. The calls came next. Eleanor wept with joy. Jenna's scream pierced Owen's eardrum. Then he dialed his father. Voicemail. I'm getting married to Maya. We'd like you there, but if you can't support us, don't come. Either way, we're building this family with or without your approval. He hung up. Maya squeezed his hand. You okay? I'm perfect. April sunlight cut through Maya's bedroom curtains, warm and insistent. Claudia already had coffee brewing downstairs. Eleanor had arrived at dawn with pastries nobody would eat. Nerves killing appetites. Let me see it again. Jenna reached for the dress hanging on the closet door. Maya's fingers traced the simple lace. Nothing extravagant. Nothing that screamed Fletcher wealth or working-class compromise. Just beautiful. Across town, Owen wrestled with his tie for the 3rd time. His fingers wouldn't cooperate. You look nervous. Liam sat on the bed, suit jacket already wrinkled. I'm terrified I'll mess up my vows. Just tell the truth. Liam shrugged. That's what Mom always says. Noah nodded, carefully smoothing invisible creases from his ring-bearer pillow. Zoe twirled, her dress flaring. We look fancy. We look like a family, Owen corrected, voice thick. The park transformed under afternoon light. 50 chairs faced a flower-draped arch. Eleanor and Claudia sat front row, an unlikely pair united by love for the same grandchildren. The processional began. Noah walked first, pillow held like precious cargo. Zoe scattered petals with theatrical flair. Liam escorted both siblings, one hand on each shoulder, protective until the end. Then Maya appeared. She'd chosen to walk alone. I've been standing on my own 2 feet for years, but her smile said she wouldn't stand alone anymore. Owen broke the moment he saw her, tears streaming, not bothering to hide them. Dearly beloved, the officiant's words washed over them. Owen barely heard the cues, too focused on Maya's face, on the impossibility that she'd said yes. Owen, your vows. He pulled crumpled paper from his pocket, hands shaking. Maya, 8 years ago, I made the worst mistake of my life by walking away from you. His voice cracked. Today, in front of our children and everyone we love, I promise I will never walk away again. I promise to show up for the boring moments and the hard moments, not just the happy ones. I promise to be a partner who respects your strength while supporting you when you need it." He looked at the triplets, then back. "I promise to love Liam, Zoe, and Noah with everything I have, and to love you with even more. You've given me a second chance I didn't deserve. I promise to spend the rest of my life earning it." Jenna passed Maya tissues. She dabbed her eyes, steadied herself. "Owen, the day you walked back into my life, I was terrified." Her voice gained strength. "Terrified you'd hurt me again, hurt our children, prove that trust was a mistake, but you didn't. You showed up day after day in the small ways and big ways." 6 months after the wedding, October painted their backyard in amber light. Maya tucked her feet under herself on the porch swing, coffee going cold in her hands. Owen sat beside her, close enough their shoulders touched. In the yard, Liam dodged around Zoe's wild kick. Noah sat in the grass drawing, occasionally glancing up to referee disputes. "Left foot, Zoe," Owen called. "Inside of your foot." "I know, Dad." She lined up another shot that sailed wide. "Dad." The word still landed warm in Owen's chest every time. Their new house wasn't much. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom that needed updating, a kitchen where the cabinets stuck, but the backyard stretched wide enough for soccer goals, and the mortgage had both their names. Maya's textbooks covered half the kitchen table most nights. Business law, accounting, classes she'd abandoned 8 years ago, picked up again like unfinished business finally getting closure. "Quiz me later?" she'd asked that morning, scrambling eggs while Owen packed lunches. "After homework patrol, and soccer practice, and Zoe's dance." The choreography of their days had rhythm now, practiced, smooth, occasionally chaotic when someone forgot picture day or permission slips. Inside, Noah's latest portrait held place of honor on the fridge. 5 figures holding hands, equal spacing, equal size. No one distant, no one separate. Claudia arrived most Sundays bearing food enough to feed 12. Eleanor came Wednesdays after her book club, teaching the Triplets card games Maya suspected weren't age-appropriate. Last month, Richard had shown up, unannounced, uncomfortable in pressed khakis, holding a wrapped gift like a shield. The triplets had stared. "These are your grandchildren," Owen said quietly. "Liam, Zoe, Noah. This is my father." Richard knelt, all pretense stripped. "I made mistakes. Big ones. I'd like to know you, if that's all right." Zoe, never one for grudges, launched into a story about her loose tooth. Liam watched, suspicious but willing. Noah studied Richard's face, then retrieved his sketchbook. Progress, not perfection. 2 weeks ago, Maya walked across a stage in cap and gown, business degree complete. Owen stood filming on his phone, children screaming beside him, holding a banner Zoe had glitter-bombed into illegibility. The diner's owner found her afterward. "Heard you graduated. Want to talk about buying this place when I retire?" Dreams deferred weren't dreams denied. Now twilight gathered. Liam chased Zoe, shrieking around the yard. Noah's pencil scratched. "What are you thinking about?" Owen asked. Maya smiled. "That 8 years ago, if someone told me we'd end up here, all of us together, happy, I wouldn't have believed them. Do you ever wish things had been different, that I hadn't left?" The question still carried weight. Maya considered the years. Sleepless nights, stretched budgets, her mother's worried face. Then considered now, Owen's hand in hers, children secure enough to be wild, a future bright enough to chase. Sometimes, but we needed those 8 years to become people who could build this. She gestured toward the house, their children, the life constructed from ruins. We needed to break to learn how to be whole. Owen pulled her close. "I love you. I love that the kids left Legos on the stairs and I stepped on one earlier. That's love. That's real. Real beats perfect every time." Inside, the dog they'd adopted last month, Noah's idea, Liam's campaign, Zoe's naming ceremony, snored on the couch. A dripping faucet needed Owen's attention. Maya's laptop sat open to unfinished essays. Normal, messy, theirs. Through the window, 3 beds held 3 sleeping children hours from now. Noah's forever family painting watched over them. Roots deep, branches wide, everyone labeled and claimed. The porch swing creaked. Coffee went cold. Stars emerged. Love wasn't about perfect timing. It was showing up again and again until you built something that lasted. The end